Hello everyone. Today's topic is carbohydrates. Myself, Dr. A. Madhuri, Assistant Professor of Microbiology from Government Degree College for Women, Begumpet. Today, let us try to understand what are carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, as the name suggests, they are hydrates of carbon. Hydrate means water molecule of carbon. They are the single most abundant class of organic molecules found in nature. Means most of the molecules which we are seeing, organic molecules, they are carbohydrates. The name carbohydrate arises from the basic molecular formula CH2ON. Here in this formula, you can see that C means carbon, H2O means water molecule. In other words, we can call it as hydrate. That is why we are calling these carbohydrates as hydrates of carbon. And N is the number of these molecules, such molecules. So N can be, it can be 3 or more. Um, Generally, macromolecules, molecules are of two types based on their molecular weight. They can be micromolecules or macromolecules. Micromolecules, as the name suggests, micro, they are having low molecular weight and they are usually soluble. Example, micromolecules can be water, gases, minerals, sugars, amino acids, nucleotides, etc. Coming to the macromolecules, they are having high molecular weight and solubility is very less. Example, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. So coming to the functions of carbohydrates, as we have already said, they are most abundant molecules and they are abundant dietary sources of energy for all organisms. Okay, these carbohydrates they'll be giving around 4 calories energy per gram. These carbohydrates are the precursors for many organic compounds. Okay, so whatever organic compounds we are able to see are formed by the carbohydrates. These are the structural components of many organisms such as cellulose, exoskeleton of some insects and cell wall of microorganisms. In addition to that, they are also serving as a storage form of energy. For example, glycogen to meet the immediate energy demands of the body. Every organism will have energy stored food. It will be in the form of carbohydrates, and they also participate in the structure of cell membrane, cellular functions such as cell growth. So they are also the structural components of the cell. Coming to the properties of carbohydrates, the existence of at least one and often two or more asymmetric centers is one of the important property of carbohydrates. Here, this means that asymmetric carbon or asymmetric center means the carbon having four different groups. The ability to exist either in linear or ring structures. So they show special property of existing in linear form or ring form. For example, glucose. When we are writing the structure of glucose, we can write it in a linear form or in a ring form. In nature also, they are existing in two forms. The capacity to form polymeric structures via glycosidic bonds. They can form polymers. As proteins are polymers made of amino acids, these carbohydrates, they can also form polymers via glycosidic bonds. And the potential to form multiple hydrogen bonds with water or other molecules in their environment means they are able to interact with other molecules or they are able to form hydrogen bonds with other molecules which are present in their environment. Now, classification of carbohydrates. If you see the classification, there are they can be first divided into two types. One is simple carbohydrates or sugars or glycoses. And next is complex carbohydrates or non-sugars or glycans. Okay, we have to remember these words. First one is simple carbohydrates or complex carbohydrates. Next is if they are sugars, just these are non-sugars. If we are calling these as glycoses, we have to call these as glycans. So simply we can remember that simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates, these are the alternate names for these sugars. Next, so simple carbohydrates can be of two types, monosaccharides and disaccharides. Mono means one, di means two. As the name suggests, here in these compounds they are having single sugar molecule or carbohydrate, and here two carbohydrates molecules, sugar molecules. Next, coming to complex carbohydrates, it can be divided into oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. 3 to 3 or more up to 10, it can be called as oligosaccharides, and more than that it can be called as polysaccharides. Poly means many, saccharide means sugar. So again revising, carbohydrates are of two types, simple and complex type. Simple are of two types, mono and disaccharides. Complex are of two types, oligo and polysaccharides. Now coming to first one, that is monosaccharides. Monosaccharides can be also called as glycoses. This is the formula CnH2O, and we have also seen in the previous slide. So these monosaccharides, they are polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones. They are polyhydroxy. Poly means many, hydroxy means OH group, aldehydes and ketones. We can see in detail in the coming slides. Classification of monosaccharides can be like, we can classify these monosaccharides into two types, aldoses and ketoses. If there is an aldehyde group in the sugar in this monosaccharides, we have to call it as aldoses, and if there is ketone group in this sugar monosaccharide, then we have to call it as ketoses. Okay, so monosaccharides are of two types, they are aldoses and ketoses. Okay, so based on what they are divided, these monosaccharides, based on the functional group. If the functional group is aldehyde group in that monosaccharide, we have to call that monosaccharide as aldose. And if there is a ketone group in that monosaccharide, we have to call it as a ketose sugar. That was according to the functional group. Now let us see the classification of monosaccharides according to the length of the carbon chain. Now, if a monosaccharide is made of three sugars, it have to be called as trioses. The formula of which can be written as C3H6O3. Here, three carbon atoms are there, and the examples are glyceraldehyde, dihydroxyacetone. Trioses are having three carbon atoms, and examples we have to remember, glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Next is tetroses. Tetroses means four carbons, C4, that is four carbons, C4H8O4. Here examples can be erythrose and triose. And the third one is pentoses. Pentoses means it is having, these compounds are having five carbon sugars, C5H10O5. Okay, examples are D-ribose, deoxyribose, L-arabinose, D-xylose, D-xylulose, etc. Coming to hexoses. Hexoses are having six carbon atoms. Example, glucose, galactose, mannose, etc. And the last one is heptoses. It is having seven carbon atoms. Examples are pseudoheptulose, glucoheptose, etc. Next is derived monosaccharide. Derived, why the name derived is the monosaccharides have changed into another form by addition of some other functional groups, then we can call them as derived monosaccharides. That first one is glycosides. Here, hydroxyl group is attached on the first carbon of sugar molecule and replaced by other radicals. Example, methyl glucosides and galactosides. So, it means that whatever hydroxyl group is present on C1, first carbon of the sugar molecule, it will be replaced by other molecules such as methyl group or galactose group. Then we have to call them as methyl glucosides or glycosides in general. Next, sugar phosphates. Here, first carbon or sixth carbon of glucose reacts with phosphoric acid, giving glucose 6,1 phosphate or glucose 6 phosphate. That is why we are calling them as sugar phosphates. And the third one is gluconic acid. In this molecule, first carbon in glucose is oxidized to carboxyl group, that is COOH. That is why it is called as gluconic acid. Next one is glucuronic acid. Here C6 is in glucose is oxidized to carboxyl group. So in these examples we can understand that gluconic acid and glucuronic acid in both the molecules, in one molecule first carbon is attached with carboxylic group, and in next glucuronic acid sixth carbon is attached with carboxyl group. Next is amino sugars. Amino group introduced into hexoses. Example, glucosamine and acetyl glucosamine and acetyl galactosamine and acetyl muramic acid and neurominic acid and sialic acid are amino sugars. The name itself shows one amino group is attached to sugar molecule. That is why we are calling them as amino sugars. Next is disaccharides. Di means two, saccharide means sugar molecule. When two sugar molecules are attached together, they are called, we have to call them as disaccharides. Example, cellobiose, isomaltose, lactose, maltose, sucrose, etc. Next one is oligosaccharides. Oligo means small or short, saccharides. Oligosaccharides are made of 3 to 9 units of sugar molecule. Here in oligosaccharides, 3 molecules or 3 sugars or 9 sugars, 3 to 9 sugars are attached together to form a oligosaccharide. In this first one is trisaccharide. Tri means 3. 3 sugar molecules or 3 monosaccharide units are attached to each other. Example, gentianose, raffinose, manotriose, rabinose, raminose, melizidose, etc. Coming to the next category, that is tetrasaccharides. Tetra means 4, saccharide means sugar molecule. Example, stachyose, scorodose, etc. Here 4 molecules are attached together by glycosidic bond. Next one is pentasaccharides. Penta means 5. 5 monosaccharides are attached to each other. Example for pentasaccharide is verbacose. Next, now let us study about the details of properties of carbohydrates. First property shown by carbohydrates is isomerism. Uh, in that first one is structural isomerism. These structural isomers have same molecular formula but differ from each other by having different structures. Isomers itself means they have same molecular weight or same molecular formula. We are studying about structural isomerism. It means that their molecular weight or molecular formula will be same, but they are differing in the structural arrangement of the molecules. So stereoisomers have same molecular formula and the same structure, but they differ in configuration. That is in the arrangement of their groups in the space. So structural isomers can be of three types. First one is chain isomers, in which the isomers have different arrangements of carbon atoms. These details we also study in chemistry. If you can look at this example, this is N-butane, where four carbon molecules are arranged in a linear form. And the second example is isobutane. Here also four carbons are involved, but the arrangement is different. The fourth carbon is attached to the extra carbon is attached to the second carbon. That is why we are calling it as isobutane. Here, the first one as N-butane. So these can be called as chain isomers. They are differing in the form of chain. Next is positional isomer, in which the isomers have the same carbon chain but different in the position of substitutional group or positional group. So here positional isomers means their chain will not differ, but they will differ in the position of the functional group or substituent group. Example, N-propyl chloride. Here chlorine is the substituent group. Okay, this chlorine is attached to the first carbon here. That is why we are calling it as N-propyl chloride. Here, whereas here, in both the cases, three carbons are involved. That is why the name propyl. Here also three carbons are involved in the name propyl, but the chlorine here is attached to the first carbon, but whereas here in the second example, chlorine is attached to the second carbon or middle carbon. That is why we have to call it as isopropyl chloride. That isopropyl chloride and N-propyl chloride. These two compounds are positional isomers. Next is functional isomers, in which the compounds have same formula but differ in the functional group arrangement. Okay, so functional group arrangement is different or functional group is different. That is why we have to call them as functional isomers, as functional group is different. Now here if you can see, the molecular formula is the same, CH3 CH2 OH, or we can it's also write as CH3O CH3. So molecular formula is same for these two compounds, but in the first case the functional group is alcohol and the second group, the functional group is ether. Okay, so these two isomers are called as where the functional group is different. First one alcohol and the second one ether group is there. They are called as functional isomers. So till now we have seen structural isomerism. In this structural isomerism, we have seen chain isomers, position isomers, and functional isomers. Next is stereoisomerism. It can be divided into small areas of optical isomerism and geometrical or cis-trans isomerism. Coming to the first type, optical isomerism, it is seen in the compounds where there are chiral carbons. What do you mean by chiral carbons? Chiral carbons is the carbon where it is attached to four different carbons, where the carbon is attached to four different carbons, four different function groups or four different groups. Then we have to call it as chiral carbon. So whenever a molecule is having a chiral carbon, there is a possibility of showing different isomers. For example, mirror images. The arrangement of two groups on the lateral side on different sides is called as mirror images or optical isomerism. And the geometrical or cis-trans isomerism is the geometric arrangement or the arrangement of functional groups or the substituents in the space. Okay, so these are isomers, trans isomer and cis isomer. Here we can see that the molecular formula is same. In the center, two carbons are joined with a double bond. And for these two carbons, there are like one hydroxyl group, one hydrogen is attached and the other group attached is carboxylic group. Here also the same thing. To these two carbons which are bonded in the center, they are having carboxylic group on one side and hydrogen on another side. If in these molecules, if the carboxylic groups are arranged on alternate sides, then that isomer should be called as trans isomer, and that compound can be called as fumaric acid. Coming to the second compound, if the carboxylic acids are of both the carbons, if they are aligned on the same side in the space, then we have to call it as malic acid, and this isomer is called as cis isomer. In short, we have to remember that whenever the functional groups is on the same side, we have to call it as a cis isomer, and when they are on the opposite side, we have to call it as a trans isomer. These terms we have to remember: cis isomer and trans isomer. Cis means on the same side, trans means on opposite side. Next, cyanohydrin synthesis or Kilani-Fischer synthesis. Here we can see the synthesis of D-glucose and D-mannose from D-arabinose. Now let us see this one. This is the 5-carbon compound, that is D-arabinose. When this D-arabinose is reacted with the cyanohydrin, there will be addition of carbon onto the 5-carbon compound in the form of cyanine. Okay, so here we are extending the chain length by 1 carbon, and this reaction is called as cyanohydrin synthesis or Kilani-Fischer synthesis. Okay, so in the first step, we are reacting this molecule of arabinose with the sodium cyanide in presence of water molecule. So the cyanide present in sodium cyanide will be getting added to the arabinose molecule in the sixth position. It is a uh, five-membered compound or a 5-carbon compound. It will convert into six carbon compound. Okay, on one end, cyanine is attached, forming the sixth uh, carbon here on this chain. Now, when this is heated, when these compounds are heated, they will give rise to cyclic structures. Cyclic structures where this carbon will forming double bond with oxygen. Again, when you react with the sodium in presence of mercury, they will be forming linear structures, giving the structure of glucose, giving the structure of glucose. Now, when a beam of polarized light, optical activity, when a beam of polarized light is passed through an optically active solution, it may be rotated either to the right or to the left, depending upon the type of optical isomer present. Okay, now what is optical activity means? When we are projecting a polarized light onto a solution, optically active solution, it can be rotated. That light beam of light can be rotated either to right or either to the left, depending upon the optical isomer present. So right is called as dextrorotatory or clockwise and is designated as D or plus, and levorotatory or left or counterclockwise is called as L type or minus type of compound. Again, revising, what is optical activity? It is the activity shown by optical isomers in nature. So how to identify these optical isomers is whenever we are projecting a beam of light onto the solution of optical isomers, the it may be rotated either to the right or left depending upon the optical isomer present. So if light is rotated to right side, then it is called as dextrorotatory or clockwise and is designated as a plus or D type. And when the light is rotated towards left, it is called as levorotatory and it is called as counterclockwise. Mm, it is rotated left or when two isomers, that is dextrorotatory and levorotatory isomers are mixed together, they become optically inactive, and such a mixture is called as racemic mixture. And the process of converting an optically active compound into racemic modification is called as racemization. Next concept is epimers. Epimers are the sugars that differ only by the configuration about first one carbon atom. And here in this example of mannose and glucose, both are of six carbon compounds, and in the second carbon, this they are there is a hydroxyl group and hydrogen in both the compounds, but the direction of or orientation of these groups is different. So D glucose and D mannose are epimers with respect to second carbon. In the second carbon, there is a difference, right? And the this functional group orientation is different. That is why this is D glucose and this is D monos, and both the compounds are epimers with respect to the second carbon. And D glucose and D galactose are epimers with respect to the C4. And coming to the concept of anomers, anomers are isomers in this type. The monosaccharides differ from each other in their configuration about the anomeric carbon atoms such as alpha D glucose and beta D glucose. Here, this is the alpha D glucose, alpha carbon atom. Alpha form is known as alpha anomer, and beta form is called as beta anomer. In this example, you can see first carbon is called as alpha carbon. In this alpha carbon, they are changing, the configuration is changing. So this alpha form is called as alpha um, anomer, and this beta form is called as beta anomer. Next is mutarotation. Glucose alpha D glucose in water has a specific rotation of 113 degrees centigrade. When the solution is allowed to stand, the rotation values falls, and after 24 hours it gets stabilizes at 52.5 degrees centigrade. This is for alpha form, whereas for beta form of glucose has a rotation of this 19.7 degrees centigrade. If the solution is allowed to stand, the rotation rises to give the final value of 52.5 degrees centigrade. Here in this muta-rotation concept, we are looking, um, we have got the example of both alpha D glucose and beta D glucose. The beta D alpha D glucose, when it is dissolved in water, it is giving a specific rotation of 113 degrees centigrade, and if we leave the solution to like that for some time, the value falls down to 52.5 degrees centigrade, whereas beta D glucose has a specific rotation of 90.7 degrees centigrade when dissolved in water, and if we leave that solution like that for some time, thus this specific rotation value will increase and it will come again to same 52.5 degrees centigrade. Coming to the ring structure, glucose, as we have seen, it can exist in a linear form and or in a linear ring form. It consists of one aldehyde group and many hydroxyl groups. So there can be intramolecular interaction between aldehyde and OH groups and forms hemiacetal or cyclic hemiacetal. Okay, and glucose consists of one aldehyde group and many hydroxyl groups. Now this ring will have form will have additional chiral carbon, hence two isomers alpha and beta forms. This is the alpha form, where a hydroxyl group at the first carbon is faced downwards, and this is the beta glucose where hydroxyl group on the first carbon is facing upwards. Now coming to the furan and pyran rings, Haworth gave ring structures. This is the five-membered ring. This is called as furan, and the six-membered ring is called as pyran here. And next is monosaccharides. Here monosaccharides best example is glucose. Glucose is a simple hexose sugar soluble in water, and it is sweet to taste and crystalline in nature. It occurs freely in grapes, honey, and it occurs in combined state in sucrose, starch, cellulose, glycogen, etc. It is the major metabolic fuel of cells and tissues, and the glucose is optically active and exists in alpha and beta forms. It is an aldohexose and its molecular formula is C6H12O6. So this is the simple sugar which we know, which we use in our daily day-to-day life. It is soluble in water, and in some compounds it is present in free state, and in some other compounds it is existing in a combined state. And it is having two forms, that is alpha and beta form, and the molecular formula is C6H12O6. Coming to the next monosaccharide, that is fructose. This is a ketose sugar or ketohexose sugar. It is highly soluble in water. It is also a crystalline and sweet in taste, and it is a reducing sugar. It is optically active, and an aqueous solution of fructose is levorotatory. For this reason, it is sometimes called as levulose. Okay. So as it is showing levorotatory or L form, it is sometimes called as levulose, and the polysaccharide inulin of plants is composed exclusively of fructose units. Inulin of plants is made of fructose units. And derived, coming to the derived monosaccharides, first is deoxyribose. Ribose is the sugar, and deoxy is the group which is attached to the ribose sugar. And then phosphorylated sugars are also there, where phosphate groups are attached to sugar molecules. Next is amino sugar. Here amino groups are attached to sugars. Example, glucosamine forms chitin, hyaluronic acid, and chondroitin sulfate. And the third one is sugar acid. Here ascorbic acid is a sugar acid. Glucuronic acid and glutaronic acid occur in mucopolysaccharides. Here sugar acid means acidic group is attached to the sugar. Example is ascorbic acid, glucuronic acid, and galactoronic acid. And sugar alcohol. Here alcohol group is attached to sugar. Example is glycerol. It is involved in lipid synthesis, and mannitol is another example for sugar alcohol. It is the storage alcohol in some fruits and brown algae. And next is phosphorylated sugars. Here phosphate derivatives of monosaccharides are found in all living cells, in which they serve as important intermediates in carbohydrate metabolism. Phosphorylated sugar means phosphate group is attached to the sugars or monosaccharides. They serve as intermediates in carbohydrate metabolism. All the intermediates of glycolysis are phosphorylated compounds. In the glycolysis, if you can see, first glucose 6 phosphate and all the other compounds, they are phosphorylated compounds. Next, the phosphate groups have three functions. They give each intermediate a polar negatively charged group which becomes independent through cell membrane. So the phosphate group, which they they have a polar negatively charged group. Phosphate is a negatively charged group which becomes independent through cell membrane. The phosphate groups also serve as binding or recognition groups in the formation of enzyme substrate complexes. Okay, they are helping in recognizing the functional groups in enzyme substrate formation of enzyme substrate complexes. And another function of these groups is conservation of energy. We have heard about ATP. ATP full form is adenosine triphosphate. Here, to adenosine, three phosphates are attached. So, in the form of phosphate, energy is stored in the molecule. And here we can see um, sugar phosphates examples glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate. This is the structure. This is the glycerol to this phosphate is attached, and glucose 6 phosphate. This is the entire molecule is glucose. This is the phosphate group. And here coming to the fructose 1,6 bis phosphate. Here for the fructose molecule, which is a 6 carbon compound, and it is a ketose sugar compound. This is the ketose group, and here to this fructose, two phosphates are attached. That is why it is called as fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. And the fructose, which is showing levorotatory nature, it is normally called as levulose sugar. Next is amino sugars. This amino sugars example we have seen glucosamine and galactosamine, in which the hydroxyl group at C2 is replaced by an amino group. So in the sugar, the hydroxyl group is replaced by amino group. That is why they are forming amino sugars. And glucosamine, many polysaccharides of vertebrate tissues and major component of chitin. So where this glucosamine is present, we can see this in polysaccharides of vertebrates and chitin, and D-galactosamine is present in glycolipids. Next is muramic acid. It is also called as peptidoglycan. It is the important building block of structural polysaccharide found in cell walls of bacteria. It is a 9-carbon amino sugar derivative consisting of a 6-carbon amino sugar linked to a 3-carbon sugar acid. The amino group is usually acylated. So in this muramic acid, um, 9-carbon amino sugar derivative is linked to 6-carbon amino sugar. And N-acetyl muramic acid is found in peptidoglycan or murin. Next is peptidoglycan. This peptidoglycan is called as mucopeptide. It is the basis recurring unit in the peptidoglycan structure. It is a disaccharide of NAG and NAM. NAG is N-acetyl glucosamine and NAM is N-acetyl muramic acid. In alpha 1,4 linkage, these two NAG and NAM are attached by a tetrapeptide chain containing L-alanine, D-glutamic acid, L-lysine, and D-alanine. Okay, so these units NAG and NAM are joined in a polymer which are interconnected by a tetrapeptide. This tetrapeptide means the four amino acids are linked together forming a peptide. This peptide will have four amino acids called as alanine, glutamic acid, lysine, and D-alanine. This is the structure of NAG, and this is the structure of NAM-N-acetyl glucosamine and N-acetyl muramic acid. Next is disaccharides. For example, sucrose. This chemical name for sucrose is alpha D glucopyranosyl 1,2 beta D fructofuranosyl. So here this is a disaccharide, as the name suggests. Di means two, saccharide means sugars, and the common name is table sugar. This sucrose or disaccharide, it is a disaccharide of glucose and fructose. As we are saying, two sugar molecules are there. The two sugar molecules are, one is glucose and the other one is fructose, and the molecular formula is C12H22O11. So these two sugar molecules together, they are forming this molecular formula. It is best known for its role in human nutrition. The common sugar what we use in our homes in daily life is nothing but sucrose, and it's best found only by plants and is freely soluble in water. It is formed by the plants and it is soluble in water. This is the structure of sucrose. It consists of glucose and fructose. Together it is forming a sucrose, releasing one water molecule. Here we can see this is the glucose, this is the fructose, and the bonding is this one alpha 1 to bonding. Next sugar is maltose. This maltose is called as alpha D-glucopyranosyl D-glucopyranose. So here maltose is also a disaccharide. In this disaccharide, di means two, So here two glucose units are joined. As in the previous sucrose, we are having two different sugar molecules, that is glucose and fructose. But in a maltose, two sugar units are glucose only. So two glucose molecules are joined together by alpha 1,4 linkage. It is found in germinating seeds and malt. Why the name maltose is? It is found in malt, that is why the name is given as maltose, and it is also found in germinating seeds. It is also produced during the digestion of starch by amylase. Starch is a polysaccharide formed by joining of glucose units. So when the starch undergoes breakdown or digestion, it will release maltose units. And the addition of another glucose unit yields maltotriose. Further addition will produce dextrins. These dextrins are also called as maltodextrins and eventually starch. So gradually, these glucose units will join together and form urea to starch. This maltose can be broken down into two glucose molecules by hydrolysis. Again, I told you hydro means water, lysis means breakdown. So when this maltose is broken down in presence of water, it will yield glucose, two glucose molecules. In living organism, enzyme maltase can achieve this very rapidly. So there is an enzyme called as maltase which can break down this maltose very rapidly. And the production of maltase is from germinating cereals like barley is an important part of the brewing process. In the brewery or beer industry or this enzymes produced by germinating seeds is more important component of the brewing process, and the metabolism of maltose by yeast during fermentation then leads to the production of ethanol and carbon dioxide. When this maltose is broken down by the yeast or metabolized by the yeast during fermentation, will produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. This is the structure of the maltose. Two glucose units are attached together by alpha 1,4 linkage. Next is lactose. This is also a disaccharide. The scientific name is beta D galactoparanosyl 1,4 beta D glucopyranose, and the name suggests it is a disaccharide of galactose and glucose. It is also referred to as a milk sugar. So lactose is also called as milk sugar, as it is present in the milk. Lactose makes up around 2 to 8% of milk pyruvate, and disaccharide uh, here it is bonded by beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Since lactose occurs mostly in milk in most mammals, the production of lactase gradually decreases with maturity. So, as I said, it is present in the milk. So the production of lactase enzyme will decrease with the age, with maturity. Next, here milk turns sour due to conversion of lactose to lactic acid. Trehalose is found in some fungi and hemolymph of some insects. Okay, so there is an enzyme called as lactase which can break down this lactose. So when this lactose is broken by, or when this lactose is converted to lactic acid, the milk will turn into sour. In this process, tree halose is also found in some fungi and hemolymph of some insects. Lactose is a part of these compounds. Next, cellobiose. The cellobiose, it is a polymer. It is present in cellulose. It has beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. It is the hydrolysis of cellobiose yields D-glucose. Two glucose units are joined together by beta glycosidic linkage between C1 and C4 of other. It has the same structure of as maltose except the type of glycosidic bond. Here also in cellobiose, two glucose units are joined together by bonding, beta 1,4 bonding. These are the two glucose units bonded by beta 1,4, and then is trisaccharide. Trisaccharide means three sugar units. Example, raffinose. This raffinose is seen in plants. This is the structure of the raffinose. And then coming to the polysaccharides, they are also called as glycans. These are also called as non-sugars. This is the general formula of polysaccharides. They form colloidal solutions and they are amorphous or powder form. This is the type of polysaccharides, homopolysaccharides and heteropolysaccharides. Homo means similar. Example, cellulose, chitin, and storage. One is structural polysaccharides and the other one is storage polysaccharides. Structural polysaccharides are cellulose and chitin. Storage polysaccharides are starch and glycogen. And heteropolysaccharides contain glucose, aminoglycans, oil, mucopolysaccharides, agar, pectin, etc. So these storage polysaccharides, they serve as a reserve food and they are hydrolyzed to simple sugars for production of energy. And starch is seen in plants and glycogen is seen in animals. This is the starch. Starch is composed of amylose and amylopectin. Amylose will have alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkages. This is the structure of amylose. And coming to the amylopectin, this amylopectin amylose will have only alpha 1,4 linkages, whereas amylopectin will have alpha 1,4 and alpha 1,6 linkages. And this is the structure. Alpha 1,6 is the branching point. In this glycogen is the it is a reserve food found in animals, and this is the structure of glycogen. Here we can see alpha 1,4 linkages and alpha 1,6 branch points. This is the inulin. This is the storage polysaccharide in plants. This is the structure of inulin. Structural polysaccharides, they form cell walls in plants. Example, cellulose, chitin, peptidoglycan, and cellulose. This is the structure of cellulose showing alpha 1,4 linkages, and the next is chitin. It is found in fungi and other exoskeletons of insects. Chitin. Next is peptidoglycan. It is seen in cell wall. It is also called as muramic acid. It is found in cell walls of both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. It is formed by um, linking of NAG and NAM, and this is some mucopolysaccharides. These are the compounds present in mucopolysaccharides and the importance of carbohydrates. They help the organism in storage and transport for energy, and they are the structural components of different plant and animal parts. They are the important intermediates of photosynthetic and respiratory pathways. They form the important constituents of nucleic acids, coenzymes, etc. They act as an essential component of extracellular matrix of cartilage and tendons, to which it contributes tensile strength, and it is used in preparation of culture medium and cosmetics and medicines. It is also reserved food for plants and microbes as well as animals. They help in working process of immune system, fertilization, pathogenesis, blood clotting, etc. Thank you for patience listening.